I'm Jordan Hatfield. This is Faster Film Critic. Today on the show, we talk the Fantastic Four First Steps with Kolter and Chase Fugel. The Fantastic Four is a 2025 Marvel film directed by Matt Shakman, starring Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, Ebon Moss-Backrack, and Joseph Quinn. This is the first film in Phase 6 of the Marvel franchise, so grab your comic books and favorite superhero costume and get in. We are going cinephiling. What up, guys?
Hey.
What's up?
How's it going?
Fantastic Four, you guys stoked? I'm so stoked. Guys, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm 12. I'm so stoked. I'm jittery. I can't wait to talk about this movie.
Really?
Really? You must have loved it then.
Oh my goodness, I loved it. I just loved it.
Are you serious?
Dude, I've changed my entire opinion on Marvel films. They are now my favorite. Max Shakman is my favorite director. He beats out Tarantino.
Okay.
I'm going to end this podcast and immediately go back and watch more Marvel films. I cannot wait.
I wish you guys could see him right now. He's in a full spandex bodysuit sweater right now.
Dude,
It's got a big blue 4 on the front.
I love it, man. I love it. I am so in. Oh, I'm so in.
I might have believed that until you started saying it was better than Tarantino. Now I know you joking.
Oh, way better than Tarantino, dude. Way better.
Okay.
And Martin Scorsese, man. Martin Scorsese can't shake a stick at Marvel films. Do you guys disagree? Tell me, what do you think of Fantastic Four?
I'm going to be honest, this whole time I wasn't sure if it was a Marvel or a DC film.
Oh, the
for
comic
real?
geeks are going to cancel
Is
you.
that terrible? I'm 100% honest.
man.
I didn't know.
I think
Yeah, that's pretty
I
bad.
think I'll kick it off like this. I was more excited for Superman than I was for this, based on the marketing and the trailers. I ended up liking this better than Superman. It was fun to actually visit a world that was well realized for a change, with characters that derivative from the comics that were fairly faithfully recreated, man. I didn't expect to enjoy this movie, but I did.
So I agree with you. I think it was better than Superman 2. I like Superman better than anyone in the Fantastic Four.
Okay.
Who do we got in Fantastic Four anyway? We got Stretch Armstrong.
Sure.
We got Rock McBrowhuge. We got Flint Strike Flame.
Yeah.
And the female representation of the Invisible Man.
That's her superhero, is being female representation.
How big a comic book fans are you guys?
0.
Okay.
I don't know if I could say 0. Like I would like to read a comic, like a superhero comic book, but I've never tried it.
Comic. Okay.
I'd like to try it.
All right.
You know, I'm not knocking it completely.
Okay. All right.
I've never read a comic in my life.
Clearly, I am the comic nerd here. And there's a ton of like Jack Kirby, in particular, Jack Kirby's art style, whether it was like the 60s style uniforms, like right down to the design of Rockman McPebbles. What'd you call him?
Dude.
Rockhole?
Rock McBrowhuge.
Yeah.
He's Rock McBrowhuge.
Huge. Otherwise known as the Thing, Ben Grimm, was, I thought, by far the most interesting character. I wanted to know a little bit more about him. And like Superman, this movie kind of poops us out after the origin story. And kind of, I think this movie does a better job of catching the audience up on who these characters are and vaguely how they got their powers, but we don't see how that happens. So interesting that these two studio relaunches of superhero titles kind of both took a similar approach. It was odd. How the hell does that happen? That's weird. I think it's weird.
Yeah, they were very similar. And I was saying I like Superman better than these other superheroes.
Okay.
And I think that some of the aspects in Superman are better than anything in this film. But
Okay.
start to finish, all things considered, man, I think Fantastic Four beats Superman. I think the story was just a lot less convoluted. It was a lot less crazy. It was a little bit more...
Yeah, way more focused.
Yeah, a lot more focused. But I got a question for you guys.
Yeah.
Both Superman and the Fantastic Four are reboots.
Yeah.
And yet, like you say, Kolter, both take a very similar approach in that they completely forego all backstory.
Yeah.
There is no origin story in these films.
Not
it's
really.
Just,
Yeah.
you guys get it. We're going to jump right in and go.
Yeah.
Do you think that works?
It works far better in this one than it did the other one. In terms of telling a story, this movie focuses on 4 characters. Superman focused on, Jesus, there was Superman and Mr. Terrific and this person and your personal favorite, Jordan, Hawk Girl, plus all the people at Daily Planet and Lex Luthor and blah, 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 blah. People are probably more familiar with Superman's origin story and far less familiar with the origin story of Fantastic Four. But this movie did better than that, even with a truncated kind of version of that than the other one did. That's my take.
So I get the point of trying to just jump right into the story.
Yeah.
Assuming that everyone's tired of superhero origin stories. Everyone is familiar with these characters, largely. Let's just jump right into the action.
Sure.
Like, I get the idea. I get the temptation to do that. But regardless, I think subconsciously it has an effect. Like, when the movie starts, I don't grab right onto these characters. Even though I know traditionally what their backstory is, these particular characters I feel unfamiliar with. And it takes me just a minute to kind of wrap my mind around who these characters are. And I just feel like the lack of character development kind of hurts these films. Whether we realize it or not. I'm talking about from an emotional standpoint, and it's probably subconscious. That's my take. Do you guys disagree? I could see why someone would disagree with that, but
I think it worked a lot better in Superman. There was a lot more character there for Superman to work with, a lot more maybe interesting dialogue or interacting with other people that either didn't know that he was a superhero or weren't, he usually didn't interact with, so you learned a lot more about him. But these, it's just, or in Fantastic Four, it's just them kind of talking to each other and nobody else the whole time. So
that's just
feels like there's a lot less character there because they're so, maybe it's because they're so familiar with each other, or maybe it's just because they're poorly written.
I do wish that Superman had a little bit more of an origin, and I feel the same here. I'm less familiar with the Fantastic Four, and I would have liked to have known more about them. Honestly, you know the little clips at the beginning that kind of quickly explain some of the adventures they've been through together? I wanted to see more of those in detail. Like, that could have been the first movie. Then you bring on the sequel with the pregnancy.
Yeah, I think so. I think... And this could be just for this particular franchise, is that we've seen that story in every other iteration of Fantastic Four up until now. And I think they thought that formula might not have been working for this. Let's just go, let's concentrate on the world building, which I thought was actually really excellent in this, versus Superman's approach, which was a lot more playful in James Gunn's version. Superman also has the benefit of essentially playing two characters, Superman and Clark Kent. That's inherently more interesting, I think, because he has to navigate basically two different groups of people in his life in different ways, with the exception of Lois Lane is the only one. Yeah, this one's a lot more focused, a lot more... They spent a decent amount of time, and I think some decent enough writing, kind of establishing their dynamic as a family, and the whole world knows who they are. So they're not running around with masks. They're not trying to conceal identity. So you take things more kind of face value, which maybe isn't quite as exciting or interesting as characters in the Superman universe.
Okay, fine. Forget my bad idea of a Fantastic Four origin story. Forget that. But this movie did feel like a sequel to me. It very much felt like a sequel, and there was no film before it. Even the fact that the female representation of the Invisible Man was pregnant. Babies usually come in the sequel or the third movie.
Yeah, sure. Or at the end of the first movie.
I think this very much felt like a sequel in so many ways.
Yeah. Well, I guess Again, I think I go back to the point where I think studios are pivoting. They're trying to kind of catch up to the momentum that movies like Avengers and stuff left off, where they're going for the big team up. They're going for the big bad guy, which in this was a lot more fun. Like literally in this one, he is a big bad guy. But I think studios they're in a race that they've had a bunch of stinkers, both DC and Disney, Marvel up to this point. And I think they realized we cannot start from square one and have a one character movie for 20 different characters until we get to the team up. They're trying to catch back up to that momentum, that team up momentum that both studios realize has been really successful and really profitable. I think that has to play into it.
Sure, Kolter, I think you're right. The problem is Marvel didn't start with the Avengers. They didn't start with the team up. Each of these individual superheroes had their own origin stories.
Yeah,
and then they had subsequent movies that followed around their characters. So by the time you got to the team up, you were emotionally invested.
Yeah.
And that's what made the team up so successful. I don't think you can just skip the origin story and the character development, which is what they're trying to do now.
Yeah.
Whether we realize it or not, I think it has an emotional effect on our attachment to these characters. They're trying to skip right to the chase, and I think there's a consequence to that. These characters aren't as strong because of it. Now, I'm not saying that each character needs their own origin story. I'm just saying we need more character development. I think it's a mistake to try and jump right into the action. It's a mistake here. I felt like it was a mistake in Superman.
Yeah.
But I do want to say, while we're talking about emotions and characters, something happened to me in the Fantastic Four that I was not expecting. It caught me off guard, and I thought it was really cool. And that was Galactus. When he came on, I remember being like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, I remember this feeling of, holy cow.
Yeah, yeah.
And I haven't felt that in a superhero movie in a really long time. I
Okay.
was like, whoa, there he is.
Yeah,
Dude,
yeah.
He was so impressive.
Oh,
when
yeah.
he first comes out and he opens his eyes and he's huge,
Yeah.
he just felt so massive.
Yeah.
And I thought that was incredibly effective. I actually loved him in
Hell
this
yeah,
film.
no.
I thought he was a great villain.
Yeah, I wanted to see more of him. It's Ralph Ineson plays him, first of all, so he's got, for some reason, man, this is, when you go back and look at the comic version of Galactus, it's goofy as hell. It's, he's got this big metal suit with these big head apparatus things, and you think that's
Isn't he like super stubby too?
not really. No.
Maybe not.
No, not him anyway. But and he takes the.
Maybe I'm remembering a different guy.
You're probably thinking of MODOK, who's like this giant head.
Yeah, that's who it is. Yeah.
But Galactus kind of, in the comics at least, he kind of takes on the appearance of whatever dominant life is on the planet that he's about to eat. But yeah, but they made it work, dude. Like, his voice is great. It lends itself so well to a character like that. And the design of it, and you felt like the size and it was cool.
Yeah, it caught me off guard. I thought it was really cool. And you're right. Ralph Ineson was an amazing casting choice for this.
Yeah, for sure.
He's just got such a unique, cool, interesting voice. I love it.
Yeah.
How do you guys think the film would have done if it didn't have the retro futuristic aesthetic? If it was more plain or stereotypical?
Not as well, because for one thing, physical sets make a huge difference, and it's very much of like you watch those old, like, we used to have these VHS tapes when I was a kid, like, the kitchen of tomorrow. Susie walks into the kitchen and look at her using the oven of tomorrow. It's going to make that pie in no time flat. It's stuff that's just ripped right out of there, like this, the circular bulby TVs that Reed Richards is working on, the chalkboard. So all that stuff was super well realized, and it was nice to kind of be immersed in a world that was very well conceived of, very thoughtful and intentional. And I think that was probably one of my. I don't think it works anywhere near as well because those goofy ass costumes with the turtlenecks, Fantastic Four, because it's such an old comic, like, that stuff was cool back then. But by today's standards, they're pretty cheesy. Like, I was still surprised that they make like a uniform like Captain America, his uniform, work, because it's so dorky. But then in the movies, it worked, or they made it work.
Yeah.
So this is kind of the same thing with that aesthetic. It wasn't just a gimmick. It was really cool. I was like, I spent 2 hours in a different world, a very well realized one. So for me, I loved it.
Absolutely. I loved the whole vibrant, retro, futuristic feel of Earth.
Yeah.
And I absolutely loved the space setting.
Oh, that
I
was
thought the
great.
entire aesthetic of this film was really cool.
Yeah,
I found it very interesting for a superhero movie. All right, there's an asterisk there.
Sure.
I found it interesting for a superhero movie, and it held my attention more than any superhero movie I've seen recently.
Yeah.
Because of it,
Yeah.
largely because of the aesthetic.
Sure.
Yeah. I don't think the movie would have been half as good if it wasn't for the aesthetic, but I was still a little bit bored throughout.
I mean, it is just another superhero movie.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't
Even
lean,
compared to other Marvel movies that have come out recently.
They didn't lean too hard on
feels like
action
there's a
set
lot
pieces.
less there.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
to me, that was kind of refreshing. It was nice to see, like, oh, they're going to have some moments between characters here. And the one thing I would have liked a little bit more of in terms of character development, that, Johnny Storm is kind of Johnny Storm. He's a little on the cheesy side. Reed Richards' powers, he's smart, but he's got stretchy. That's kind of cheesy too. And Sue Storm, invisibility and force field powers, whatever you want to call them, very 60s-esque. Like, the character that always stood out to me was Ben. He's the one that went through the most drastic transformation, and his character in the comics and in other iterations is very self-loathing because he's so basically lost his humanity in terms of like physical appearance and how he is. I mean, they do kind of twist that to be a celebrated thing in this movie, which I liked a little bit more of, but for being the big tough guy of the bunch, he was very subdued and kind of, which I enjoyed. I liked that he was kind of calculated and thoughtful and kind of gentle, but typically that character's a little bit more sad. He's very conflicted about what happened to him.
Yeah, I like the scenes where he's just walking around the street.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
The whole vibe of those scenes.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know if you guys have seen Eyes Wide Shut, but there are those scenes where Tom Cruise walks the streets at night.
Yeah.
I am 99.999% sure that they used the same set for one of those shots.
Yeah, they might have.
And they were both filmed in the same place. So
Okay.
I am almost confident.
Yeah.
I didn't catch that. That's really interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. I never would have noticed that.
Speaking of characters, is Silver Surfer cool? I can't decide. Is she cool or is she not cool?
Yeah. So typically, I forget the character's name. It's not Shallabal is the one they use in this, but Galactus had a different herald. God, it's like Norred or something like that. I thought, based on kind of prior stuff, that they're just doing the gender flip to do the gender flip. I think it worked in this a little bit because of her being able to bounce off of Johnny a little bit. Yeah, there were moments where it was interesting and moments where I thought, this is it's just a tool for the writers to have something in between Galactus and the Fantastic Four to interact with.
I'm not even talking about in this movie. I'm talking about in general. In the comics, is Silver Surfer cool?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. He is normally a male character. Yes, very cool. And a very highly loved character in the comics.
Is the surfboard a little lame?
Again,
I mean, if I'm designing a superhero,
sure.
I could design 50 superheroes, and a surfboard would never come to my mind.
I mean, I think when you look back,
that could be a reason why it's cool, though.
I'm not saying it's not cool. I'm
it's
asking.
Unique.
I don't know.
It's unique. It's weird.
It's a little silly, but
dude, when you go back and look at comics of that era, it's all pretty dorky, cheesy shit. I mean, it doesn't really take a serious turn in terms of the artwork and the themes until late 70s, 80s is when the style of those comics changed. But yeah, if you go back and look at just about any character, I'm like, oh my God, they look ridiculous. So yes and no. Yeah,
I did like her character in the movie.
Yeah, it was cool.
I did think that her character in the movie was pretty cool.
Yeah.
There was the scene where Flint Strike Flame flies up to Silver Surfer up in space, and he's hanging on to her surfboard, and she kind of leans down over to him. It's right before she says something in her own language and flies away. Yeah. But that scene in space with the stars of the backdrop, I thought that was really cool.
All
really
the space stuff was cool. Them, their faster than light speed journey looked visually really interesting. I love when they're trying to get away from Galactus the first time and Johnny's trying to shoot her. Just a little added detail of like the curved, they're shooting laser beams or whatever the hell at her, and that because of how they're traveling faster than light, it's like curving the beam. Little details like that I kind of tend to appreciate it. Somebody put some thought into it's not just mindless, stupid action. It's interesting.
Speaking of space, guys, have you heard the new theory that our universe exists inside of a black hole?
I have watched Neil deGrasse Tyson's explanation on that. Yes, sir. I have heard
Dude,
this.
it's pretty mind-blowing.
It
to
is.
think that we live in a black hole.
Honestly, nothing would surprise me. Don't get me to start talking about space in general. We're going to go down a sharp right turn into Nowheresville.
Coulter, are you into space? Are you an astronomer?
Yeah, yeah. Not an astronomer, but I love space shit. Hell yeah.
Dude, me too. I love it too. I don't know very much about it.
Yeah.
I am no astrophysicist, but I wish that I had a greater knowledge. I think it's absolutely fascinating.
It is.
If I had more free time, I would study it.
I'd go there if I had more free time.
Yeah.
I can't imagine a cooler experience that has actually been lived by a member of humanity than walking on the moon.
Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah.
But when Katy Perry went, I was like, ugh, I don't want to go to space anymore.
Katy Perry. So I don't know what it's like to walk on the moon, but I do know what it's like to live in a black hole, because apparently we're living in one now.
Oh, well, it's not so bad in that case.
Yeah. I mean, the taxes are a little high, but other than that, it's fine.
Not bad. Not bad at all.
Well, let's go ahead and rate the Fantastic Four on a scale of 1 to 5. What do you guys give it?
The aesthetics of Fantastic Four were very refreshing considering superhero movies today. I want to say the focus is everywhere else but aesthetics, but I don't think superhero movies are given any focus nowadays. And at least it was somewhere in this one. Yeah. But, I'm going to land 1 star for this one.
1 star. Tough critic over here.
I love Chase's Marvel film ratings.
I'm sorry.
No, don't apologize, man. Plenty of people are going to feel the way that you are. And people are just burnt out. This one was a nice surprise for me. It was, the aesthetics can only support a decent story and decent characters, which I thought it was a more focused story. I liked that they didn't use humor to undercut every moment of tension like they have in other Marvel movies. It was more serious than I expected. It was more kind of science-y and problem solving and kind of simple, kind of relegated to this family unit, which you got to spend more time kind of identifying and rooting for the characters, so the stakes felt a little bit more real. The movie looked great. The score was great by Michael Giacchino did this. Galactus was actually intimidating and scary as a bad guy. They've always had a bad guy problem with their stuff. I thought I would get tired of seeing Pedro Pascal and everything, and although he was actually pretty decent in this, played a pretty convincing kind of nerdy scientist. I always thought he would be miscast for this role, and I ended up enjoying him. So yeah, all in all, a tick better. I think I gave Superman a 3. I'd give this a 3.5.
All right, guys. Well, I'm going to give Fantastic Four a Fantastic 4.
Really? No, you're not.
Really?
No, totally kidding.
Yeah.
2.5 for me, guys. I love the aesthetic of the film. I thought the space was really cool.
Yeah.
It felt like a sequel. I felt like that hurt the film.
Okay.
I understand why it would jump right into the action. Nobody wants another origin story. But I do think it has an effect on the way we connect with the characters, and I felt that in this. Some of the writing's a little silly, but I absolutely loved Galactus. I thought he was incredible. So 2.5 for me, which is, not too bad for a superhero movie coming from me. So
Coming from old Jordan Stinker Pants.
yeah, old Jordan Stinker Pants.
Yep.
We want to know, what did you think of Fantastic Four? Please tell us. Okay, look, I'm not a big fan of superhero movies, but that doesn't mean that I don't like every superhero movie. And one superhero movie I really enjoy is Batman the movie from 1966, directed by Leslie H. Martinson, starring Adam West, Burt Ward, Cesar Romero, and Lee Merriweather. This film is based off the Batman TV series from the 60s, which is also fantastic. I absolutely love this film. It's batty, it's hilarious, and it is absolutely worth your time. If you haven't seen it, you gotta fix that right now. Check it out. I highly recommend it. Thank you for listening to Faster Film Critic, and please join us next week when we talk Weapons, a psychological horror directed by Zach Krager. You can also follow us on Letterboxd, Cinetrack, and Instagram. Email us at fasterfilmcritic@gmail.com. Hit us up with questions, comments, feedback, review requests, and please share this episode with your movie-loving friends, particularly those that like superheroes.